lot of people, when they put across laws like this new disclosure thing and sue an entire multiple companies over commission lawsuit, I don't think they put a lot of thought into the aftermath that it would create. Like he said, now you're literally like only offering services to people that can afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I'm sure it's born out of good intentions. I'm sure the law, right. the regulation that they're considering.
You're the perfect person to ask this question. This goes into effect. First-time home buyer. They want to use Jim because they want a dedicated agent, and Jim's fee's $5,000, whatever the number is, doesn't matter. Everyone has a threshold where they're not going to get the mortgage, and maybe that $5,000 is the number, right?
Yeah, there's a large percentage of the first-time home buyers that come to me, and the big, look, there are a lot of different concerns about buying a house, but one of the biggest hurdles is having enough money to be able to purchase the home, having enough money for a down payment and closing costs. And there are programs out there with minimal down payments, and there are certain tools we can use to help ease the burden of closing costs to some extent. But at the end of the day, that $5,000 or whatever that number will be will absolutely push a lot of people out of the ability to be able to either move forward or at least be able to have somebody representing them.
Yeah, so now you want to achieve the...
And that first-time home buyer, they're the inexperienced home buyer. They can't draw on past experience to do so. Yep. They need somebody like Jim that much more.
100%. Now, they need him. They want the American dream, but to get him or anyone is going to knock them out of the box.
Yeah. Because of some regulation that came out to protect consumers.
Well, it's not regulation yet. It's not anything yet. It's a lawsuit that's pending, and it could be completely overturned.
Nonetheless, an action that was taken with the intent of protecting consumers
can harm
wound up hurting them.
Yeah. I don't think it was intended.
Oh, you think it might have been a money play, but okay, well.
I think it's a huge money play.
Well, listen, the dollars are behind every decision ever made, right? Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, if I call Jim and his fee is 4, 5, 6%, whatever it is, I don't have to use him.
Right.
I can go find some discount broker who's going to do a lot less work than Jim. And listen, this is the other thing that I think people don't understand and talk about enough. Is let's say Jim gets $10,000 on the commission. Okay, he sells a house, his commission is $10,000.
Yeah.
Check gets cut at the closing. Ooh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Here's what people don't realize or forget about. First off, Jim's got to cut the house in, right?
The broker.
Yep, the broker. I don't know what a split is. We're not going to ask him. Let's just pretend it's an 80-20. I have no idea, right? So right off the bat, now the $10,000 he's got 8. Then he's got to pay Uncle Sam on that 8. I don't know. Let's call he's down to 5, right?
Yep.
Then he's got E&O insurance, MLS access. You guys drove around and looked at 47 houses over the course of 6 months. Time, gas, wear and tear on your car, all the calls back and forth to negotiate the deal, submit offers. Then he's got to go to an inspection. That's 2 hours, 3 hours. A final walkthrough before the closing. And then all the stuff that Jim does during the deal, right? We take over when we go into contract, but it's not like Jim goes on vacation. The guy's still working around the clock, making sure this is set up, this is good, so really at the end of the day, Jim gets a check for $10,000, and when you average it out, he probably made 37 cents an hour. And people don't realize that. It's not just this big old check that Jim's running to the bank with.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's the same thing for us too.
Of course.
With our fees, is the amount of work that gets done. Real estate really is a volume business.
Yeah.
It is.
100%.
Now listen, you are the guy in Southampton that sells $100 million house a year. God bless you, different story. But for us, the general part of the market is your one deal doesn't even come close to paying my mortgage. Mm-hmm. I need to do 10 to keep the lights on, to pay the team, to pay the insurance, for the paper, the ink, the toner, the email, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So it's a very highly intellectual position, career. You don't go to the neurosurgeon. Now I know real estate agents aren't neurosurgeons, the doctors aren't neurosurgeons. I get all that, trust me. But you don't go to the neurosurgeon and say, well, yeah, man, you're worth $3 an hour.
Right.
You just don't.
We just brought one of our dogs, to the Long Island Ophthalmology Clinic.
Lives?
In Holbrook.
Oh no, okay, yeah.
Right? She scratched her cornea somehow. I think it was like $1,200 to repair it. No questions asked,
Yeah.
right? Dog needs to get, like, you don't.
Did you ask them how they split that money up?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it was
How much
like,
did you pay the receptionist?
it's like, here's my card, just make sure my dog doesn't lose her eye. There's no questions. But then when it comes to like a huge transaction, most of the population, it's the largest transaction you're ever gonna do. And people are like, well, how much is that? How much is that? They're like nickel and dime.
Now, on the flip side of things, I do like when because closing costs, when I tell somebody the closing costs, I'll pick a number, $15,000. They think the bank gets a $15,000 check. No. So I actually do. When I sit down with people and go over closing costs with them, I do sit there and say, hey, I do want you to know where your money's going. So there's a form called a loan estimate, which is a standardized form in the industry, and every single home buyer who gets a mortgage gets this. But I actually do go over it line by line and let them know where the numbers are going to be, just because I'm educating them, because there's certain numbers that can vary, and I want them to know, because when I estimate closing costs to be X, they may not be X. I usually estimate on the high end, but I will, there are numbers that can vary. When are you closing? What title company did your attorney pick? There's, various things that can come up. So I do go over the things line by line to educate my client, but at the end of the day, how do we come up with our rate? This is our rate. This is the rate,
So it's funny, and not that I'm going to like adult home buyers, whether it's first time or second, third, to my 7-year-old, but I'll share this example with the group. We were on a cruise in September as a family, and my son wanted everything he could, this stuff down, I want to play video games, I want ice cream, I want this, and we do the best we can for our kids, but I remember we got to the point where my son was just asking for a lot, and he's 7, like that's what he's supposed to do, he's 7, he's a kid. So here I am, like it's going to be a proud dad moment. We're on the deck of the ship, I get down on one knee, so me and him are like eye to eye, and I just have this heartfelt conversation with my son saying, hey G, like, mommy and daddy love you, we will do everything we can for you, but there's not unlimited resources, right? There are going to be no's. And we have this whole conversation. Now, I know he doesn't fully grasp it. Like, he doesn't grasp mommy and daddy go to work and we make X, and we have expenses, and then there's pleasure, right? And literally, after I had this, like, whole proud dad moment, like, I think I got through to him, he gets it, he literally goes to me, can we go to the arcade? Right? Now, the reason I tell that story is not to like my 7-year-old home buyers. It's he doesn't understand a big picture.
Yeah.
And buyers, sellers, whoever, also, they're not in the business, and I did it when I bought my first house, right? Don't always understand the big picture as well, and the cost and this and that and where everything goes. So this is the cost. Either you're good with it or you're not. And not that it's like a hardline position type of thing, but it really boils back to, this is the cost because of, I need to pay for a cup, a cap, the sugar, the milk, the electricity in my convenience store, my employees, their 401k, the insurance, the this, that, and the next.
And then also imagine at the end of the day you make a little profit because we're trying to make a living.
God forbid.
And which everybody's trying to,
Yeah.
Yeah.